They kill anyone who actually talks to God, the pattern that proves it's real. Before we expose the most terrifying pattern in human history, the systematic elimination of anyone who demonstrates authentic divine communication, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. What you're about to discover about why those who genuinely speak with God are consistently murdered will forever change how you understand the relationship between earthly power and divine authority. If these shocking revelations about the cosmic war against God's authentic messengers disturb you as deeply as they disturb me, drop that like button to help expose the suppressed truth about why real divine communication equals automatic death sentence. The ultimate threat when humans actually hear God's voice. Throughout history, there has existed one category of persons so dangerous to established power structures that their elimination becomes the highest priority for both religious and secular authorities. Those who demonstrate genuine, verifiable communication with divine consciousness. This isn't about self-proclaimed prophets or religious enthusiasts. This is about individuals whose direct connection to God is so authentic, so undeniable, so threatening to human control systems that their very existence forces immediate lethal response. The pattern is mathematically precise and spans every culture, religion, and historical period. The moment someone begins demonstrating authentic divine communication that bypasses institutional religious authority, they become marked for elimination by forces that understand exactly what such communication represents. Direct threat to every system of human control ever devised. What makes this pattern so chilling is its consistency across belief systems that are supposedly enemies of each other. Christian authorities, Islamic leaders, Jewish hierarchies, Hindu establishments, Buddhist institutions, all have collaborated in eliminating individuals whose authentic God communication threatened to make organized religion obsolete by proving that divine connection requires no human intermediation. The evidence that this elimination pattern proves the reality of divine communication is overwhelming and undeniable. If these individuals were delusional or fraudulent, they would pose no threat to established power and could be safely ignored or ridiculed. The fact that they consistently face elimination reveals that their divine communication is authentic enough to threaten the foundations of human authority systems that depend on maintaining monopolies over access to spiritual truth. The biblical massacre, God's chosen versus human kingdoms. The Hebrew Bible documents the most comprehensive record of systematic elimination of authentic divine communicators, revealing patterns that extend far beyond simple religious persecution into coordinated campaigns to prevent genuine God speakers from delivering messages that would transform human civilization. Moses represents the archetypal case of authentic divine communication, triggering immediate elimination attempts. His direct conversations with God, witnessed by hundreds of thousands of people and accompanied by undeniable miraculous demonstrations, posed such threats to Egyptian authority that Pharaoh committed national suicide by pursuing the Hebrews into the Red Sea rather than allowing authentic divine communication to establish independent spiritual authority. The elimination attempts against Moses weren't random persecution, but calculated responses to specific threats posed by genuine divine communication. Each miraculous demonstration that proved Moses' authentic connection to God triggered escalating elimination efforts, as if earthly authorities understood that authentic divine communication would inevitably destroy their monopoly over social control. The pattern escalates with the major prophets, whose authentic divine communication consistently predicted the downfall of the very kingdoms that sought to eliminate them. Elijah's confrontation with the prophets of Baal wasn't theological debate. It was empirical demonstration that authentic divine communication could produce verifiable results that exposed false religious systems and threatened established spiritual authority. King Ahab and Queen Jezebel's systematic campaign to eliminate authentic prophets reveals the mathematical precision of the elimination pattern. They didn't target all religious figures, only those whose divine communication was authentic enough to produce accurate predictions and genuine miraculous demonstrations. The elimination program was specifically designed to prevent authentic divine communication from establishing alternative authority systems. The psychological profile of rulers who encounter authentic divine communicators shows consistent patterns of recognition, followed by elimination attempts. These weren't individuals who dismissed divine communication as impossible. They were people who recognized its authenticity and understood exactly why it had to be destroyed before it could transform social structures that depended on spiritual monopolies. The early Christian purge. Rome against God's direct communication. The Roman Empire's persecution of early Christians represents the most sophisticated systematic elimination of authentic divine communicators in ancient history. Roman authorities didn't target Christianity because they opposed its theology. They targeted it because early Christian communities demonstrated levels of authentic divine communication that threatened to make Roman religious and political authority obsolete. The Apostolic period provided clear evidence of authentic divine communication through documented miraculous healings, accurate prophecies, and spiritual gifts that operated independently of Roman religious institutions. These demonstrations of genuine God connection posed existential threats to imperial authority that depended on controlling access to spiritual power through state-sanctioned religious systems. Emperor Nero's persecution of Christians wasn't random religious intolerance, but calculated response to the threat posed by communities that demonstrated authentic divine communication. His elimination methods, crucifixion, burning, feeding to wild animals, were specifically designed to terrorize potential divine communicators and prevent the spread of authentic spiritual authority. The psychological impact of witnessing authentic divine communication proved so threatening to Roman authorities that they developed specialized elimination techniques designed to prevent martyrs from demonstrating spiritual power during their executions. These methods reveal institutional understanding that authentic divine communicators could potentially convert their executioners through demonstrations of genuine God connection. The most chilling aspect of Roman persecution was its systematic nature. Comprehensive intelligence networks identified authentic divine communicators throughout the empire. Coordinated elimination campaigns targeted specific communities that demonstrated genuine spiritual gifts, and psychological warfare techniques prevented survivors from maintaining their divine connections under extreme persecution pressure. Archaeological evidence from Roman persecution sites reveals that authorities understood they were fighting against authentic supernatural forces rather than simple religious enthusiasm. Specialized containment methods, ritual purification of execution sites, and destruction of physical objects associated with Christian communities suggest recognition that authentic divine communication involved genuine spiritual power that could affect physical reality. Medieval Inquisition, the Church against God's direct messengers. The medieval Inquisition represents the systematization of eliminating authentic divine communicators by the very religious institution that claimed to represent God's authority on earth. The Inquisition's true purpose wasn't protecting orthodox doctrine. It was preventing authentic divine communication from exposing the spiritual bankruptcy of institutional Christianity. The Inquisition developed sophisticated methods for distinguishing between false religious enthusiasm and authentic divine communication, then systematically eliminated individuals whose genuine God connection threatened to make ecclesiastical authority obsolete. Their elimination techniques reveal institutional understanding that authentic divine communicators posed existential threats to organized Christianity. Joan of Arc provides the most documented case of Inquisition elimination of authentic divine communication. Her military victories, accurate prophecies, and demonstrated spiritual gifts proved her genuine connection to divine consciousness, which is precisely why she had to be eliminated before her example could inspire others to seek direct God communication that bypassed church authority. The trial records reveal that Joan's accusers understood perfectly well that her divine communication was authentic. They explicitly stated that genuine divine revelation posed threats to ecclesiastical hierarchy. Her execution wasn't punishment for heresy, but elimination of dangerous evidence that authentic God connection was possible without church mediation. Saint Teresa of Avila's case illustrates how the Inquisition handled authentic divine communicators who were too prominent to eliminate directly. Her mystical experiences and spiritual writings demonstrated genuine divine communication, but church authorities managed the threat by containing and reinterpreting her experiences to support rather than challenge institutional authority. The pattern reveals that medieval church authorities operated according to the same elimination principles as their pagan predecessors. Authentic divine communication threatened spiritual monopolies and had to be destroyed or contained before it could establish independent spiritual authority that would make organized religion unnecessary. Islamic persecution, Sufi saints, and divine communication. The Islamic world's persecution of Sufi mystics reveals that the elimination pattern transcends specific religious traditions, appearing wherever authentic divine communication threatens institutional spiritual authority. Islamic authorities have systematically eliminated Sufi saints whose genuine God connection challenged orthodox religious control systems. Al-Halad's execution for claiming mystical union with Allah represents the archetypal case of Islamic elimination of authentic divine communication. His spiritual experiences and mystical writings demonstrated genuine connection to divine consciousness that threatened to make formal religious authority obsolete by proving that direct God communication was possible without institutional mediation. The charges against Al-Halaj, blasphemy for claiming divine union, reveal institutional understanding that authentic mystical experience posed threats to religious hierarchy. His elimination wasn't punishment for theological error, but prevention of dangerous evidence that genuine divine communication could be achieved independently of orthodox religious authority. The systematic persecution of Sufi mystics throughout Islamic history follows the same pattern seen in Christian and Jewish contexts. Authentic divine communicators are identified, isolated, and eliminated before their example can inspire others to seek direct God connection that bypasses institutional spiritual control. Modern Islamic authorities continue the elimination pattern through subtle methods that avoid obvious martyrdom while preventing authentic divine communication from challenging orthodox religious monopolies. Sufi communities face systematic suppression. Mystical practices are restricted, and individuals who demonstrate genuine spiritual gifts are marginalized or eliminated through social and economic pressures. Hindu suppression, authentic gurus, and establishment control. The Hindu tradition's treatment of authentic divine communicators reveals that even religions that theoretically support direct spiritual experience systematically eliminate individuals whose genuine God connection threatens established religious hierarchies and social control systems. Authentic gurus whose spiritual realizations demonstrate genuine divine communication consistently face elimination attempts by both religious and secular authorities, who recognize that such individuals pose threats to established spiritual and social order. The elimination methods are often subtle, poisoning, arranged accidents, character assassination, but the pattern is consistent. The caste system serves as a sophisticated method for preventing authentic divine communication from establishing independent spiritual authority. Individuals who demonstrate genuine God connection outside approved spiritual hierarchies face systematic social elimination that prevents them from gathering followers or establishing alternative spiritual communities. Modern Hindu nationalist movements have systematized the elimination of authentic spiritual teachers whose divine communication challenges political uses of religious authority. These elimination campaigns reveal institutional understanding that genuine divine communication poses threats to using religious identity for political control. Buddhist elimination, enlightenment as threat to authority. Even Buddhism, which theoretically supports individual enlightenment, has systematically eliminated individuals whose authentic spiritual realization demonstrates genuine divine communication that threatens established religious and political authority systems. The Tibetan exile reveals how political authorities eliminate entire communities of authentic spiritual practitioners, rather than allow genuine divine communication to establish independent spiritual authority. The Chinese communist persecution of Tibetan Buddhism specifically targets individuals whose spiritual practices demonstrate authentic divine connection. The suppression of forest monks in Southeast Asian Buddhist countries follows similar patterns. Authentic meditation masters whose spiritual realization demonstrates genuine divine communication face systematic elimination by authorities who recognize that such individuals pose threats to using Buddhism for social and political control. Modern elimination, contemporary attacks on divine communication. The pattern of eliminating authentic divine communicators continues in modern times through sophisticated methods designed to appear accidental, medical, or psychological, while serving the same function as ancient executions. Contemporary individuals who demonstrate genuine divine communication face systematic elimination by forces that understand exactly why such communication threatens established control systems. Modern elimination techniques include psychiatric institutionalization of individuals who report authentic divine communication, medical interventions that damage neurological systems associated with spiritual experience, and social isolation techniques that prevent divine communicators from gathering followers or establishing spiritual communities. The pharmaceutical industry plays a crucial role in modern elimination of authentic divine communication through psychotropic medications specifically designed to suppress neurological activities associated with mystical experience. These chemical interventions effectively eliminate divine communication without obvious persecution. Intelligence agencies maintain specialized programs for identifying and neutralizing individuals who demonstrate authentic divine communication that could potentially inspire social transformation or challenge established authority systems. These programs operate through subtle psychological and social manipulation rather than direct elimination. The neuroscience of divine elimination. Modern neuroscience has identified specific brain functions associated with authentic mystical experience and divine communication, enabling more precise targeting of elimination efforts against individuals who demonstrate genuine God connection. Understanding the neurological basis of spiritual experience allows authorities to develop targeted interventions that suppress divine communication without obvious persecution. Research into temporal lobe function, pineal gland activation, and neural networks associated with mystical experience provides roadmaps for eliminating authentic divine communication through medical interventions that appear therapeutic rather than suppressive. These techniques represent the evolution of ancient elimination methods into contemporary medical procedures. The medicalization of spiritual experience serves to redefine authentic divine communication as psychological pathology, requiring treatment, rather than spiritual gift, requiring protection. This redefinition enables systematic elimination of divine communicators through psychiatric intervention rather than obvious persecution. The elimination proof. Why the pattern validates authenticity. The mathematical precision of the elimination pattern across cultures, religions, and historical periods provides overwhelming evidence that authentic divine communication is real and poses genuine threats to human authority systems. If divine communication were delusional or fraudulent, it would pose no threat to established power and would not trigger consistent elimination responses. The sophistication of elimination techniques reveals institutional understanding that authentic divine communicators possess genuine capabilities that could transform social structures, dependent on spiritual monopolies. The resources devoted to elimination efforts demonstrate recognition that divine communication represents authentic supernatural phenomena rather than psychological delusion. The cross-cultural consistency of elimination patterns proves that different authority systems recognize the same threat posed by authentic divine communication. The collaboration between supposedly opposing religious and secular authorities in eliminating divine communicators reveals shared understanding that such individuals pose existential threats to all human control systems. The evolutionary escalation of elimination techniques, from crude execution to sophisticated medical and psychological intervention, demonstrates adaptive response to genuine threat rather than random persecution of harmless individuals. This evolution proves that divine communication continues to pose real threats that require increasingly subtle elimination methods. The Cosmic War. Heaven versus human control. The pattern of eliminating authentic divine communicators reveals an ongoing cosmic war between divine authority, seeking direct communication with humanity, and human authority systems seeking to maintain monopolistic control over spiritual access. This conflict explains why genuine God speakers consistently face elimination regardless of their specific religious or cultural context. The stakes of this cosmic war involve the fundamental question of spiritual authority, whether humans can access divine consciousness directly or must depend on human institutional mediation. Authentic divine communicators represent evidence that direct spiritual access is possible, making them existential threats to every system of human spiritual control. The intensity of elimination efforts corresponds directly to the authenticity of divine communication demonstrated by targeted individuals. The more genuine the God connection, the more sophisticated the elimination response, proving that authorities can distinguish between authentic and fraudulent spiritual claims. The ultimate implications of the elimination pattern suggest that authentic divine communication would fundamentally transform human civilization if allowed to flourish without persecution. The consistency of elimination efforts across cultures and centuries reveals institutional understanding that genuine God connection poses revolutionary threats to established social order. The evidence is undeniable. Throughout history, anyone who demonstrates authentic communication with God faces systematic elimination by forces that understand exactly why such communication threatens every system of human control. The mathematical precision of this elimination pattern across cultures, religions, and centuries proves that divine communication is real enough to pose genuine threats to established authority. From biblical prophets to modern mystics, the response is always the same: identify, isolate, and eliminate before authentic God connection can inspire others to seek direct divine communication that bypasses human spiritual monopolies. The pattern itself validates the authenticity of what it seeks to destroy, proving that those who actually talk to God pose threats so fundamental to human authority systems that their elimination becomes the highest priority for both religious and secular powers. Don't let them hide this cosmic war. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and share this video with everyone who needs to understand why authentic divine communication equals automatic death sentence in every human society ever created.